What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Fringe. Alberta independence is hot on the heels of major discussion across the country. In fact, it's leading the charge for other provinces to now consider where they're going to go when it comes to confederation. Are they going to hold their own question on a ballot and join Alberta in claiming its independence? I'm happy to report today that the grounds are now becoming clear. After our very amazing interview with Alberta Prosperity Project earlier this week and being revealed that there is a budget plan coming out in the next week or so detailing just how much money Alberta is going to save from kicking the federal government out the door. Numbers like that are important when discussing independence because it starts to paint a picture for people as to why these decisions are being made, why these questions are being asked of its people. But Ottawa, as well as the rest of the country, mostly the eastern provinces, the elbows up crew, if you will. Not the people, but I'm talking government here. The elbows up crew have poisoned the minds of those who support them to essentially tell other provinces it's time to go. We covered on the channel yesterday, there's now articles coming out with polling showing that Quebec and Ontario are saying that the West is crying too much. They need to just shut up and pay or else get out of the country. Now, you can see here, they're still pushing massive division in this country. Nothing is going to change. British Columbia has made it clear they're not building any pipelines. Mark Carney has played the off-guard word salad professor by saying, hey, listen, I want to do all this, but everybody has to be on the same page. Everybody has to agree that we're going to do these things. We're going to build pipelines. As long as everybody's on the same team, I'll happily do what everyone wants. It's because he knows it's not going to happen. He's putting the blame onto other people. He's putting the onus to say, hey, I'm not being difficult, ladies and gentlemen. It's everybody else. It's not me. I've only been here a few short months. Remember those explanations? Look at what the Elbows Up crew is tweeting out. I think we can do better, Canada. Let's set a goal for 50% for now. These ridiculous online accounts get me every single time. How people can live in this bubble and think that what they're saying is accurate. As a news article says, Canadian tourists are down to the US nearly 40% in May. This isn't because of Elbows Up. This isn't because of Mike Myers. This isn't because Canada is not for sale or Doug Ford or tariffs. It's because of the US to Canadian dollar and the exchange rate. People can't afford to spend 30% more to go down to the United States and buy their products, pay to stay in their hotels, fly their airlines, when there's roughly 30 to 35 cents on the dollar. Now, it's 30 cents on the dollar in terms of an exchange rate, but everybody knows when you go to the bank, when you switch over to American currency, there's huge fees associated with that on top of the 30-cent exchange rate. You're probably looking more to 40 cents on the dollar by the time that's all said and done. Sometimes 50. Half. Who wants to go on a vacation somewhere where your money's worth half of what it buys where you live? The claims here are idiotic. New claims, though, however, when it comes to Alberta independence, I mean, this isn't the reason we're showcasing this. When it comes to Alberta independence, another YouTube channel, PJ The Belt, one that I know my viewers tend to watch, has begged the question, has there been a deal made in the works with Donald Trump between Danielle Smith and Alberta? Again, the G7's coming up next week. And you've got Danielle Smith making numerous trips to the United States. She's made it very abundantly clear we want to do deals with the United States. We want to talk pipelines. We want to talk prosperity for Alberta, more projects getting out of the ground. But what you have to realize, folks, this is more than liquid natural gas. This is more than oil. This is more than bitumen. Danielle has left the door open to say that she considers the United States a massive trading partner. There are things going on in the background here that we are not aware of. And anybody who says that Danielle Smith is not on the side of those who are looking to gain independence, start asking yourself, why is she then lowering the threshold? Why is she lowering the threshold for people to get out and have their say in a referendum ballot? While her mandate is for the entire province of Alberta, she can't pick any favorites. She has to maintain her job as premier until a citizen-led initiative speaks for itself. But what's happening in the background makes me ask some questions. Because now you have Danielle Smith coming out. I want to go over this tweet. Alberta's premier with a warning for the Prime Minister regarding, they say, separation. We're talking independence here, folks. Speaking in Calgary Tuesday, Danielle Smith says she wants new pipelines and at least 9 changes to federal policy. She says that it's those policies chilling investment, not Alberta independence talk. So there's been a lot of claims from the Spend DP, from all the mainstream shill prostitutes, that Alberta's losing investment, that companies are leaving, that people are uncertain about Alberta's future, so they don't want to invest in Alberta. It's a crippling federal government that doesn't want to build, that doesn't want to get through red tape, that doesn't want to prioritize these projects, that is causing these companies to leave. I hate to break it to the NDP, but they think people are stupid. They think that people don't realize these companies have been leaving for multiple years. In fact, Calgary's downtown, which was once a sprawling metropolis of oil companies, oil and gas companies, engineering firms, they've all packed up and left. Husky Energy, in fact, was one of the biggest ones to leave Canada to go back to China. They can't work in a province that doesn't want to allow the production of their product. It's that simple, folks. Let's hear Danielle's warning, because I think this gives a lot to look at.
Well, I hope the Prime Minister doesn't want to test it, because I take it seriously. I have never seen separatist sentiment be as high as it is right now. We've done our own polling, and we've seen numbers as high as 37%. You look historically, I don't know if it's ever been that high. But again, I've also seen it dissipate when Ottawa addresses the legitimate concerns Alberta has. And I'm not kidding that the 9 demands are my short list. I know that there are other tensions that we have with the federal government, but a lot can get resolved when you have the means, because people have good paying jobs, and you also have the revenues to be able to address some of the social pressures. Well, I hope that...
So a lot of people have called out Danielle Smith after this. Again, the lefties, the people that we don't really want to listen to. And when I say we, I'm talking about people with common sense, people who understand the numbers. They're saying that she's a traitor, that she should be recalled. The sentiment is absolutely unbearable. I know I'm struggling to find words here. I have to be very careful about how I say things, especially with censorship on this platform these days. What we're starting to see is a shift. Danielle Smith has always said she's open to running a province that works within a sovereign Canada. She wants to promote unity within a sovereign Canada. But here she's giving a fair warning to the Prime Minister, because keep in mind, Danielle Smith is not leading this charge. She can't. But what she has made very aware is that they've done their own polling. They've looked into it. There's a reason that Danielle has lowered the threshold. She can see the writing on the wall. Albertans have had enough. While she's not going to openly promote Alberta independence, she's doing everything within her tool chest to essentially make that available to Albertans that have had enough, to give her the mandate to move forward. Her trips to the United States, her appearances on American television, her sit-downs with people like Ben Shapiro to talk about the importance of Alberta energy. You can't brush that aside and say that it has no relevance as to what's going on, or that Danielle is merely just out there trying to get in the limelight. She is trying to promote a product that the Canadian government has made very clear they have no intention of moving forward with in our own country. Mark Carney's claims of running an economic superpower is nothing more than word salad. Uhs and ums. What's funny is, with the G7 on the horizon, you now have Donald Trump. Here's Table Salt saying, major breaking. Trump says he will send take it or leave it tariff letters to all countries that have not yet struck a deal with him, in terms Canada. Let's do it with the Donald voice. We're gonna send them a letter telling them what the deal will be. They're gonna make a big, beautiful letter, ladies and gentlemen, and they're gonna tell Canada, you take our deal or you leave it. But one of those deals is for Alberta. As many times as Donald Trump says, we don't need their energy, we don't need their oil. Very well, you probably could get your oil from other cheaper places. However, a large percentage of the bitumen that the United States acquires these days comes from Alberta. And if you're not paying the Canadian price on that bitumen, if you're able to strike a deal with the province of Alberta and declare them, recognize them as an independent nation, that is the kicker, folks. It's the fastest track to Alberta's independence. It would spark a massive problem between the government of Canada as well as Donald Trump. In fact, what it would do is it would spark the government to actually show if they give a darn about Alberta or not. If Donald Trump were to recognize Alberta at the G7 as its own independent nation, say that they're being suppressed by the Canadian government, and that he's willing to strike a deal with Alberta, will that happen? Probably not. Would it take hold all of a sudden? Would Alberta all of a sudden be independent? No. But the significance of it would be that it would spark a feud with the Canadian government, and Mark Carney would have to make a decision at that point because it would only massively pump up independence numbers. That Mark Carney would either have to defend Alberta saying this is a part of Canada, Alberta is not for sale, and they would either have to greenlight a lot of what they're talking about not doing, or we start making our leave. Let's take a listen to what Trump had to say, just to put it to context.
We're rocking in terms of deals. Now, at a certain point, we're just going to send letters out, and I think you understand that, saying this is the deal. You can take it or you can leave it. You don't have to use it. You don't have to shop in the United States, as I say. So at a certain point, we'll do that. We're not quite ready. We're dealing with quite a few countries, and they all want to make a deal with us, every one of them.
Who's next? Who are you expecting to get a deal with next?
Well, we're dealing with Japan, we're dealing with South Korea, we're dealing with a lot of them. We're dealing with about 15 countries, but as you know, we have about 150 plus. And you can't do that. So we're going to be sending letters out in about a week and a half, 2 weeks, to countries, telling them what the deal is, like I did with EU.
And are you happy with the EU right now? You were unhappy with them about 10 days ago.
Well, I'll let you know in about a week. They do want to negotiate, I will say that.
What does it mean to have a free-
We're
So what you have to remember about guys like Donald Trump, this is a businessman. Take it or leave it. He has leverage. He has the leverage. Are the American people happy with what he's doing right now in terms of that leverage? It's about a 50-50 split from what I gather. Now, again, I'm not an American citizen. I don't vote in American politics, so I'm not going to pretend to understand how Americans feel about what Donald Trump is doing. I think what he's doing is fantastic. He's trying to, and when I say that, he's trying to promote building in America. He's trying to promote products within America. America can take care of itself. They can buy their products within their own country. They can manufacture in their own country. They have leverage. Other countries recognize that. That's why this is called the Trump effect, after all. Now, he doesn't mention Canada per se, but one thing he does mention in here, and again, I apologize if the audio was low. Again, there was no microphone on Donald Trump, and this was at an event at the Kennedy Center. But he talks about the deals. There were subtitles there, so hopefully that helped with everybody with the low audio. What he does talk about is that they're talking to Japan. They're talking to South Korea. They've been talking to other countries. Where's Danielle Smith been recently? She's been to the United States. She's been to Japan. She's been to South Korea. She talked about Abu Dhabi and other offices that Alberta is going to build. And this was at the dinner gallery in Calgary just over a week ago. I believe it'll be 2 weeks this weekend. The purpose of that conversation is showing that Danielle Smith has said in that Q&A that she wants to be more like Quebec, a nation within a nation. That if Quebec can have special treatment, Alberta should be getting it as well. We know that Mark Carney isn't going to give that to anybody. The dominoes are starting to fall here. The dominoes for the G7 are really starting to collapse. I guess the reason I'm so speechless is because things are heating up to a degree I never thought we'd see possible. Many people who want to blow this off and say, oh, it's just cannon fodder, it's clickbait, it's whatever you want to call it. The reality is you have a province right now with roughly 50% of its people openly saying they've had enough, that they're ready to go. The sentiment is constantly increasing. You have a premier who's going around the world talking energy deals with other countries, talking about getting the same treatment as Quebec, but also stating to the prime minister in a press conference that please do not take this lightly. You need to do something about this. She's throwing an olive branch or a lifeline to Mark Carney. All you got to do is care about the province for 5 seconds. But just as Jeffrey Rath said in our interview earlier this week, Alberta will be the first domino to fall. They'll leave Confederation, followed by Quebec, because why stay in the country if you're not getting those billions of dollars anymore? And then a very fast, if not similar at the same time, exit, possibly from Saskatchewan. The problem with one province leaving Confederation, and the reason this is such a big deal when you look at the entire nation of Canada, is it is going to affect every province on the board. It's going to affect their jobs, their money values, the investments made in their country. It's going to affect mortgages. It's going to affect our GDP. But the problem it's kind of like mountain climbers who hitch themselves up to a rope. If one falls, they all fall. If Alberta leaves, it sets the sentiment that, hey, Quebec, okay, we don't see the point in sticking around. We're out. They leave. And then other provinces say, so what's the point in being here? Everybody's leaving the party. You'll quickly find British Columbia, Manitoba joining a Western Republic. At least I predict. And this is predictions based on GDP, based on minerals, based on how provinces would need to run in order to have a financially successful future. No business can survive making $0. Many people believe that Mark Carney is going to be the final prime minister in this country. And unless the federal government wants to stop with their environmental attitude and start looking at the real picture, if Mark Carney really wants to talk about values, as a Canadian-born man, he should start questioning what he's doing to his country. Many people say he's doing this deliberately. I happen to think so as well. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Do you think there's been backdoor talk between the Trump administration, not necessarily Donald Trump, but the Trump administration and Danielle Smith? Do you think Trump could kick things up a notch when he comes to the G7? Now, he's a very unpredictable person. So do you think there's a possibility that he could throw a rock through a glass house at Mark Carney in terms of Alberta and his letters offering a take it or leave it deal? Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments if it's your first time here. I hope this video has earned your subscription. Again, I apologize for being a little laid back when it comes to my dialogue today. This is scary because while I do support an independent Alberta because of the federal government, while I do look at the best interests for our future, the thought of Canada splitting apart is very scary. Very scary. I, for one, never thought I would live to see the day where this discussion would even take place, let alone the fact that it is now snowballing. It's getting out of control. And with a negligent government that thinks this will just disappear, I'm absolutely gobsmacked. Let me know your thoughts down below. If it's your first time here, I hope this video has earned your subscription. Make sure, as you click that subscribe button, you hit the bell for all notifications so that you never miss a beat whenever any content drops here on this channel daily. Join me live Friday nights for Friday Night Fringe, our weekly live streaming show where I'm joined by the beautiful Mrs. Fringe as we go back and forth through everything that's happened this week in Canadian politics, everything we know that's coming up ahead in the week ahead, and Q&A within the greatest YouTube community on the platform. I always look forward to chatting with you guys outside of making these videos. I most importantly look forward to chatting with you this Friday night starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central here on the channel. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.